What's up, Soul Fam? Another beautiful day in the neighborhood. So I wanted to talk to you about water, right? How sacred and holy this water is. Because a lot of us just take it for granted. It's just water. It comes out of our pipes. I don't even have to pull money out of my pocket. Usually, unless you're buying it out the store, which is a waste of money anyways. Why buy something that's free? So, just to think, same water that was here 100 million years ago is the same water that was here now, right? Because water is just recycled. It's the only element that actually can show up in three states: liquid, gas, solid, right? So any water that was once here is still here. So you have to ask yourself, damn, the same water that Jesus Christ drank could be the same water I have in my glass. And this is possible. But because it is so readily available in the United States, we take it for granted, you know. But if you've ever went without water in your house for extended amount of time, or been on the streets and then had access to running water, you realize how important it is to be grateful for this sacred substance. And a lot of people ain't aware that water holds conscious. Water's conscious and it holds memory, just like we do. And depending on what environment that water is subjected to is dependent on the energy information imprint that is in that water. So you would have to say, okay, the water that comes out of my tap, what's going on in my city? Is there a lot of hate, a lot of discrimination, a lot of violence? Well, that information is flowing through your pipes, out into your glass, into your body. And then we wonder why we feel the way we feel and why we have some of the thoughts that we have. You ever had a thought and been like, why did I think of that? That was a fucking creepy ass thought, or that's just something I wouldn't think about. It's probably because of the information that the water in your body is holding, you know. And take it like this: dependent on the energy or the water that your mother was holding when she conceived you is dependent on the water that you were created from. So if you were created from, you know, if your mom was abused or she had a traumatic birth or any of that, all that information is stored in that water in your body. And that's why it's so important. That's like some of the things that we are healing, is the things that we took on just from, you know, our conception. And a lot of people think, no, that shit just that doesn't sound right. How doesn't that sound right? Water holds information. The same water that was in your mother's body is made up of your body. And that's why you could have a child that's 1 year old, 2 years old, and out of nowhere just does something out of character. Maybe it expresses anger that you've never seen before, and you're like, I ain't never taught this child this. Where did this come from? And it's the energy imprint that was in the water that they took on during conception. So water is sacred. Water is important. And I think it's time that we're more mindful about the water that we put into our body. You know, a lot of y'all have, you know, these little reverse osmosis machines and distillers and go buy your alkalized water from the store. But I'm here to tell you that all that shit it's dead water. Water with no life. It has no life. And in order to have life, there has to be some type of energetic electrolysis running through it to restructure the water. So if you guys are familiar with ERW, electric reduced water, it's a process where it restructures your water into smaller molecules so your body could actually absorb it. Because like the water that we ingest, right, consider it as a bucket, right? And when you fill up this bucket with this water, it's the equivalent to tennis balls. And your body is this chain link fence. And depending on all the tennis balls that are in that bucket have to make it through that chain link fence to the other side to themselves in order to hydrate your body. And if you were to take that bucket of tennis balls and throw it at that chain link fence, how many of them are going to go through? Probably none. Now, when you electrolyze restructured or reduced water, it turns that bucket of tennis balls into a bucket of marbles. And if you take that bucket of marbles and you throw it through the chain link fence, every one that makes it on the other side is actually making it to the cell, hydrating it, giving it what it needs. So a lot of the water that we receive is not, pretty much next to none of it is electrical reduced water. And you spending a little bit extra money on your water in the stores isn't doing much for you. So if I had any advice on what you could do with your water until you find something that is in greater service, I would recommend you pouring your water the day before in a pitcher. It could be 1 gallon, 2 gallon, 5 gallons. And you stick it out at night, maybe under the moonlight. You could throw a couple crystals in that jug, charge up that water with the crystals. The moonlight's charging it. All of a sudden, you know, the next morning, sun comes out, sun's beaming down on it, the sun's charging it. So then you have this charged water with the crystals, the sunlight, the moonlight, all that. And that right there, giving it a simple prayer, a simple blessing before you ingest it, is going to do wonders for your body. Absolutely wonders. For example, when we eat food and we give gratitude for the food that we eat, it puts our body in a state where it's more acceptable to those nutrients that we're ingesting. Like if you were to eat your meal angry, you should never eat angry, because your body's in a state of fight or flight and it's not really concerned on what to do with this fucking food. So it's like, you know what, let's get this, I'm fucking pissed off, let's get this food shit out the way and just store it all as fat and just store it into the body. And that's what happens when you eat angry, when you're choking down a meal because you're sad, or you're choking down food after an argument. You're just doing harm to your body. And it's the same thing with water. When you give gratitude for the water that you're drinking, it actually puts your body in a state where it could accept it more gracefully. And it's these simple practices that we could do that will just not only bring wellness and health and wholeness into our lives, but could also help us heal on an emotional level. Imagine if the only issue that you were actually going through was the water that you were ingesting. Because your body's 70% water, right? And then the rest, 30%, is just made up of the food you eat. So you'd have to say, okay, 70-30. I think the 70% rings a little higher than the 30%. So that goes to show that water should be higher on the scale than the nutrients you put in your body. And if I was to give you any advice, I would say the only medicine that you need ever on this planet is that sunlight, is the water that you drink, and the breath that you take in. That is medicine. Cold water therapy, medicine for the body. You know how many freaking chemical functions your body goes through that is in service to you when you step into cold water, cold environments. And these simple practices, yes, they're uncomfortable, but the benefits that you receive from them, night and day. You know, oh, I'm going to take a 30-second to a 3-minute cold shower at the end of my hot shower, and that right there is just going to make me feel, you know, my vitality is going to go up, my state of being, I'm going to feel more energized, all that just from a cold shower. You know, before we step into the shower, bless the water and say, thank you, water, for pouring out my pipes, cleansing my vessel. Like, these simple practices will just change your life. Just giving gratitude where gratitude is needed, you know. Water's like a god, or at least it should be considered, because try to go 7 days without water, without any type of beverage. Go 7 days and see how you feel. See if you're still alive. But we don't attribute our life and our I can't think of the word, but our sustainability, we don't ever attribute that to water because it's so readily available. But it's the only thing that's really keeping us alive. You can go without eating for 40 plus days and be okay. Try doing that with water, see what happens. I got a bug on me, he's biting me. So start considering the water that you're drinking. You know, like if you think that, you know, you're getting a healthy beverage because you're buying this alkalized water from fucking Walmart and it says 9.5 on there and added minerals and it says smart and it says if you drink this, you're going to be smart. How smart are you believing that? How gullible are you? Because that water, all it is tap water ran through a carbon filter, added minerals with some baking soda to alkalize it. But let me tell you something. I could take fucking cyanide tablets, put it in an acidic beverage, add baking soda to it, turn it to an alkalized state. So when you do the ppms or you do the pH test, it'll say alkalized. It'll be like 9.5, 10, 11.11, you know, whatever it is. But that doesn't mean that it's going to alkalize your body. And that goes to show with fruits and vegetables and apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is acidic, but when you ingest it, it actually it alkalizes the body. It has the opposite effect. Same with lemons, apples, things like that. So just because something says that it's acidic doesn't mean that when it's ingested in the body it's treated that way. And just because something's alkalized when it's ingested in the body doesn't mean the body treats it as alkalized. So start considering these things that you're ingesting in your body. I need to be more mindful of it as well. And like I said, we can just vibe off each other, you know, share a comment. What do you do, you know, that I might not be aware of that's missing in my life experience? Share all that shit, right? Because in order to actually embody this light that we want, we have to share this wisdom with everyone. It does us no good. And if you're familiar with the A Course in Miracles, it is said in that book that in order to embody the light, you have to preach the light. You have to share the light with one another. Because you just reading your Bible or your Course in Miracles or your Bhagavad Gita or whatever it is, your Quran, just because you read that and keep it to yourself doesn't mean you're holy, doesn't mean you're a saint, doesn't mean you're this or that. But you actually sharing that love and that wisdom with one another, you know, that shows that that's what you're about and that's what's important to you. And the Spirit is going to acknowledge that and says, wow, okay, you know, God's like, finally, I got one of my sons, I got one of my daughters back. They're here to serve me and my plan. They stepped out of their fucking ego and was like, okay, this ain't my plan. And once you realize that this ain't your plan, you're just here living it out, you'll be able to step more into the witness, you know. And I've been experiencing that more, like with the goofy ass shit that I do, like the eating, you know. I'll eat a whole bunch of junk food, right? And one time I was eating some cookies or a granola bar, and like I could not eat this cookie. Like it was not in me to say no to this cookie as much as I wanted to. As much as I knew, like, this cookie is not in service to my body and to my mind. Maybe to my lower aspect of, you know, mind, body, slave, but my true light, no. And there was a moment in time where I was the witness eating the cookie, and I was just experiencing that. It was the weirdest thing. I was like, wow, like, I'm just experiencing this. I have no control over this. I'm just experiencing it. And that's the witness role that we're starting to step in. Life is just happening. It's happening through us. You know, one thing that always rang, you know, in my consciousness, I was like, oh, that sounds about right. Like a bird doesn't fly, a bird is flown. You know, a bird is flown. A fish doesn't swim, but a fish is swam. You don't think, you're thunked. Right? You're thunked. You think that you're doing all these conscious things. And these are your free will and your choice. But you're just the witness of that. You're witnessing that. But because you conditioned your mind to believe that you're that, that's who you think you are. You think you're this body and this mind. But that's just conditioning. And you can condition your mind to believe anything. I mean, there was so many fucking things that I came across where, you know, it could be something as, you know, a dude goes to the doctors, was told he has cancer. Let's just say pancreatic cancer, and he's got 30 days to live. They're like, I don't know how we didn't catch this any sooner, but you have 30 days, dude. You better, you know, get on that bucket list. And he was like, damn, you know, and he accepted it. It was a belief to him. He believed he was going to die in 30 days. And sure enough, in 30 days, the dude died. And when they did the autopsy on his body, they found out that he had nothing in the pancreas. He had no cancer. There was nothing there. It was a misdiagnosis of the doctor. But because he believed it, he fucking died. And there's so many more stories like that I could share with you, where our beliefs are really controlling our perception and the way we interact with one another. So if you believe you lack confidence, that you lack charisma, that you lack this, you lack that, you truly do. You don't, but because you do, you do. And all you have to do is change that belief. And you could be the most charismatic, confident, assertive, forward-moving, goal-orientated, goal-driven, loving, compassionate human being that you want to be. But first, it's just making that a belief. That's it. And if you believe that the practices that you do throughout the day, like bless your water, bless your food, thank the water for washing over your vessel and cleansing your energy and your aura, if you truly believe that, then it is true. Because beliefs create everything. And that's how we create our own reality, is through our beliefs. We just have to believe it. So you have to ask yourself, what do I need to understand in order for me to believe that I'm confident in the things that I say and the actions that I perform and the person that I am? What do I have to believe to know that I am fully supported on this planet during this human experience, and that I shouldn't have to worry about anything? Because once you let God embrace you and you live that truth and you know and believe 100% that God is in service to you and you are in service to Him, and you know that every need that you're ever going to need and want will be provided for, it will. But you have to embody that. Quit thinking that, you let's just say you're hard up for money and you need something and you're like, God, please send me. I need this. Like, this is stressing me out so bad. Please send me this blessing. And then all of a sudden your mom calls you and, you have a conversation with her, and just randomly she offers you just some money. Like, hey son, I actually got, a check in the mail. If that was a blessing, I didn't realize it. And I want to send you a blessing. All of a sudden, the same money that you needed, she gave you without even knowing. And you're thinking, thank you, Mom. Thank you. My mom gave me this. My mom did this for me. But no, she didn't. God just was channeling and flowing through her and used her as a vessel to answer that blessing. So quit thinking that when you pray for something, that God's going to come down here, that Jesus Christ is going to come down here, that Buddha's going to come down here in the physical and hand you something. No. He does it through all these humans out here. So when you're sitting there and trying to avoid all these humans because you think that, they're judging you, or they just need something or want something from you, open your mind and realize that that's how God delivers His blessings, is through His sons and daughters. So every person that comes up to you is a potential to have your next piece of the puzzle in your life path. Every potential. And it could just be a few words, and you could just have an aha moment and be like, wow, I needed to hear that. And I can't even count the experiences I had where someone just randomly came up to me and started sharing their life story and their, the things that they don't care to experience in life, and just put all their baggage out on the table in front of me. And then I just allow whatever it is to flow through and share what I feel like I should share in that moment. And they'll be like, damn, I fucking needed to hear that. I really needed to hear that. And it served them. And these things happen all the time. So just know, be more open to the humans that show up in your life. We're all here to be of service to one another. And if you're always dodging people because you don't like people, you're not a people person, well, you're pretty much dodging God and the blessings that he's trying to send you. So just be more open to that. I know I kind of got off subject, but like I said, it just flows through. So it's very important to like just be mindful of this information. I don't know, like when I got on this video, my mindset was water. I wanted to share water, but this came out as well. So someone had to need to hear this. Not only did they need to hear the water, but they needed to hear, you know, how God delivers his blessings and how our beliefs are pretty much shaping our reality. And if you want to change anything out here, meaning you want more wealth, you want more health, you want more happiness, you want more joy, you don't do anything out here. Nothing is done out here. It's all done in here. So you correct this with this, that will be done. But other than that, I hope everybody's having a beautiful day. Hope they're doing what they want to do with their life because it's their life. And hopefully they're not living up to anybody else's expectations of how that life should be lived, except through their own will. They're and their fathers. But either way, have a blessed day. I love you all. But more importantly, love yourself. One time for the fun time.